every time we do a presentation each year, we pick some people to speak for us and kind of give their testimonial. In the past, like we've had Dominic Lunder, who's here today, do presentations to kind of speak on behalf of CJ and DFT. And last year we had Kamal Martin speak on behalf of People Launching Athletic Youth, this organization about the camp process. And we figured that our kids kind of need to matriculate through, and now that Dom has now moved on to the college level, that we will allow him to speak on behalf of the camp process and let James speak on behalf of the training. And so in about 1 or 2 years, James will probably do the same thing, and then somebody else will come behind him and speak about the training. Public speaking is important, and so that's why we give them the opportunity. What you're going to notice is, you're going to notice a little bit of a difference in Dominic's presentation versus James, all right? Because there's time, there's development, and there's growth there. So I remember when I first linked up with CJ, and Dom was like 9th grade, and he was stuttering and fumbling around, and now he's polished and he's doing videos for us. Public speaking is huge, all right? You have to sell yourself in this game, all right? Nobody's gonna do it for you. We can train you up, we can give you all the advice, but you gotta put in the work, all right? So another guy that's here, Gary Smith in the back from St. Agnes. I took this guy to Northwestern last summer, all right? Now, if you know Gary, he's a little bit of an introvert. He's real quiet, kind of keeps to himself. Not big emotion, rah-rah kind of dude. We're at the Northwestern camp, and there are, I think they say that they bring in about, 700 kids or something like that to their camp, and they brag about how they got like 300 coaches representing 75 schools. And we had a small group last year, I think about 7 or 8 players. We get into the stadium, and our kind of concern is, man, is Gary gonna talk to these coaches when he gets there? And his mom, she's my cousin actually, she's texting me, look out for my son, help him out. His dad is texting me, how's my son doing? And Gary was networking like he had worked in one of those multi-level marketing schemes before. He was selling everybody. You would have thought the man had business cards. And he was going from coach to coach to coach, introducing himself. And he was coming back to me with handfuls of business cards. He was like, hey, cousin, can you hold on to these business cards? I just talked to Harvard. I don't think I got the grades to go there, but I talked to him anyways. I'll be right back. And he was going around, hi, my name is Gary Smith. I go to St. Agnes, I play wide receiver. Well, he's looking down because he's 6'4". Hi, my name is Gary Smith. Nice to meet you. I play receiver for St. Agnes. And he was going around the stadium talking to everybody. Now some of that we can teach and some of that we can't. I didn't think Gary had that in him. And maybe what we do brought it out of him. Maybe it was the meeting where we talked about being hungry that kind of brought that fire out of him. But for each and every one of you, regardless of your personality, if you're a laid-back person, if you don't talk too much, when it's time to go on the stage, you got to come up out of your shell. All right? Like I said, Gary's a man of very few words. He ain't gonna say too much. All right? Now, he'll run you over. He'll jump over you. On that field, he got a lot to say. But in public, he don't say too much. But when it was his time to sell himself, every school knew about him. How many days did it take for South Dakota State to send you a Facebook message? About 3? It was like 3 days. Out of all the kids we brought, in like 3 days, coaches were in his inbox. Come to my camp next week. Big Gary, am I lying? He sold himself, all right? And so that's what you have to do. You have to learn to develop your presentation skills. And so we're going to give everybody that comes through opportunities like these to get up in front of people and talk. Because when you get out there and you get to them camps, you got to smile. You got to look people in the eye. And it's going to be real uncomfortable when you're talking to them like that because it's going to be real intimate. All right? And those coaches are going to squeeze your hand and do this long handshake. And their breath might stink and their mouth's going to be right in front of your nose. And you just got to enjoy it, even though it smells like tobacco chew. But that's what you got to do. All right? And so that's a part of the process. When we're talking about player development, getting you that opportunity to get paid, man, that's what it is. Now, every single year, we've been doing this 3-4 years now, I always look at the ceiling. If I didn't have this microphone on, and I was whispering, I was going to give $1 million to the person who was sitting in the front seat. Nobody would give it. What I just said was, if I was giving out $1 million, but I was whispering, so only the person who was sitting in the front seat would get the money, everybody in here would get nothing. It always bothers me that when our guys come into the room, just like in class,
you want to sit in the back. There's no money in the back seat. You're coming here to get money. Get in the front. Now, he had to move somebody because he was on the way to the camera, but come to the front. College is the same way. Your college coach is going to tell all his football players, you have assigned seats. You sit in the front of the class unless you have a 3.0. Your college coach is going to tell you that. And if you don't sit in the front seat, your professor is going to write you up. They're going to let your coach know, and you're going to run till you throw up, and you might think about leaving the school because you're not going to be happy. All right? So don't come in the room and see all these empty seats and go to sitting in the back. All right? Because there's no money back there. Gary went to Northwestern to get money, and there was about 699 other guys that were in the back seat. Harvard and Penn and Columbia and Yale know who Gary Smith is, and he told them, hey, I'm not eligible, but I just want you to remember my name, all right? I know I can't get in, but if you make any special considerations, let me know. That was Gary. I need everybody to get on that same page. All right, I'm going to start the presentation up.
All right, so people launching Athletic Youth. It's kind of like our background. Myself, my guy Brian White, he's sick today. You also saw him in the video. And then my man Jeff Davis was one of our original founders of Minnesota Play. Still a close partner, doesn't really work with us. He got discouraged early in the process. We were about 25 years old in this photo. That was back when I was young and still good looking. Now I'm old and gray hair and stuff. But we were doing this all-star game that Dr. Brookins was talking about, and we had a lot of resistance. When I say a lot of resistance, I mean we had a lot of resistance. Our mission was to get St. Paul and Minneapolis public school kids onto a stage where they could be seen by college coaches. Myself, Brian White, we had the luxury of going to a private school that in our mind was responsible for sending us to college. We later found out that wasn't really the case, but in our mind we thought, well, we go to this private school, we got privilege, colleges come here because of the school, and that's how we got scholarships. What we didn't realize is the colleges came because we were good. It wasn't the school, it was us, and that's why the schools came. But we didn't really understand why those colleges weren't going to the public high schools, because there were guys that we grew up with since kids playing in Park and Rec that were just as good as us. And some of them, and I maybe if I seen them I wouldn't say this, but some of them were better than us. There are a few guys, I ain't gonna give too many of them credit for being better than me, but there's about 3-4 that I graduated with in St. Paul Public Schools that definitely I couldn't be on the field with, hands down. And they didn't have any opportunities. And so as I started making my way through college, and I was doing what you guys do, I was at home playing Madden with my boys all night till 5 in the morning on summer vacation, we would talk about this like, man, why didn't he go to school? Man, what? And we didn't know what was going on at Central. We didn't know what was going on at Highland and what the reason was, but we knew it was a problem because those were our friends and they didn't get the same opportunities as we did. So when we got about 23, 24, we were like, well, what if we created an all-star game so we could put our boys on the mat and everybody could come see them play, because no one was going to see Highland versus Harding. No colleges are showing up to that. They'll come to Cretan versus Eden Prairie. They'll come watch us play at St. Thomas Academy, but they weren't going to watch Arlington, versus Washburn. But there were ballers over there. Like it's now Washington was previously Arlington. Arlington almost beat me. And we blew out everybody else. State championship, we won by like 28 points. We almost lost to Arlington. Dudes that we grew up with, half of them played at LES. What was the problem? And there was a guy over there, Tony Oyebo. There's no way I could compete with him on the field. He looked like He-Man, and he ran like 4.5 40. Didn't have a single opportunity. But I had every Division I AA and Division II knocking on my door. I'm like, well, I'm glad they don't know about Tony. Must be Cretan. That's why they coming to get me. So that's why we created this organization, man. We were concerned about what was going on, and we knew that our guys weren't going to school. And as I got older, it's your generation, so it's not necessarily my friends anymore, but it's more like my little brothers, my nephews, my cousins, and if you're not related to me, then you're a friend of my family for most of you in this room right now. Like Jordan was telling me, oh man, we cousins, blah, blah, blah. Had no idea. grew up with your auntie. She was one of my best friends, Your stepmom went to school with her. So there's people in this room that I'm have intimate connection with, so I feel responsible for making sure that you have opportunities to go somewhere. Because when I was coming up, there were none. And like Dr. Brookins said, none of the adults were putting in the work. The coaches weren't putting in the work. The athletic directors weren't putting in the work. And I said, well, if you guys aren't going to put in the work, then watch out. Brian, myself, Jeff will do it. And they did not like us for that. And that's why our All-Star game didn't last, because we didn't get a lot of community support, because we ruffled people's feathers, and it made them it kind of exposed a lot of people for not doing their job. So we were kind of hated for a while, and we had to fall back. We fell back for a few years, and we tried to figure out a new way to do it, because putting on a football game takes a lot of community support. I need the help of coaches. I need schools. I need police for security. I need permits. I need people to give me money for jerseys. But then one day, my boy Brian calls me and he says, I've been driving my little brother all over the Midwest in my mom's expedition, and we took Big JoJo, and we got Brian Langford in the back, and we're getting ready to go to Chicago. But what we need to do is we need to get a bus. I said, I ain't got money for a bus, and I'm paying child support. He said, man, we got it. We can do it. We always make stuff happen. That's what we do. I'm like, nah, I don't got money for a bus. Bus like $30,000. He said, man, I'm getting a bus. I said, whatever, but I don't have any money for you. Next week, he calls me up. Hey, man, come on out to Minnetonka. I just bought a bus. No, you didn't. No, I'm serious. Me and my dad were sitting on it right now. He started sending me pictures of his dad stretched out in the back seat. He bought a bus. Next picture. So he bought this bus, and he said, now we can fix what's wrong with the Twin Cities. This is some old statistics because we have fixed that problem. But back in the day, people in Minneapolis and St. Paul Public Schools for sure weren't getting any scholarships. Suburbs, maybe. Eden Prairie, yeah. Cretin, yeah. De La Salle was doing all right. Nobody else was going to school. All right? Public schools, zero. Getting no money. The 3 full athletic scholarships that were given out of the St. Paul and Minneapolis public schools were girls basketball players. Because at that time, Central girls basketball team could not be stopped. They were winning state championship after state championship after state championship. And then the high school league said, you know what? Public schools in St. Paul, you're not going to win anymore. We're going to make up a new rule. The transfer rule. Anybody ever heard about that transfer rule where you got to sit out a year? You know how it was started? Because Central was winning state championships. And that wasn't supposed to happen. You guys in St. Paul and Minneapolis can't win. Winning is for Eden Prairie. You guys can't win. Winning is for Edina. So they put in a rule, and it's the Central rule. That's what I call it. All right? Because the coach at the time was getting all his girls from AAU basketball to come to one high school. And so they left Humboldt, they left Harding, and all the other schools where they were. They all went to Central, and they balled out together, and they blew everybody out. Led by a girl named Angel Robinson, who was listed in the top 100 athletes of all time in the state of Minnesota. But they made sure, and this is at a top level now, this is politics. They made sure that would never happen again because they didn't want a kid coming from this side of town who lived by Como High School to switch schools to go play with their friend and win. Because you know what that looked like? That looked like kind of like St. Paul Park and Rec, like all-star team. And you all have played for different teams. You all have team hop, trying to build a little championship squad in Little League. They did that in high school. They said, what if we were just all on the same team? That what if, it came true. And so the high school league put in a rule to stop that. If you move schools, you actually have to move addresses. Well, who has the money to just up and leave their house? Not many people. So now, St. Paul, Minneapolis, it's hard for them to win. All right? So our bus was the way to fix that. Cretin and Eden Prairie were getting all the money. Nobody else was getting any money. Next slide. Football scholarships. This is kind of how it works. I'm just going to go over that real briefly. The FBS schools are the schools that you see on TV. That's the big-time Division I. FCS are Division I schools that don't really come on TV too often. They have a few games in the beginning of the season. North Dakota State, who they beat this year? They beat Iowa Hawkeyes. South Dakota State lost a close game to Baylor or TCU. I know it was close. I think it was Baylor that they just lost to. UNI, who they play? Iowa State this year. I think they beat Iowa State. So those are your FCS schools. They are Division I, but they're the championship series. That means they play in a playoff system. FBS, they play in those bowl games. Is there a difference in talent? Yeah, kind of. All right. Is it a huge gap? No. The running back from Northern Iowa, who's FCS, he's the starting running back this year as a rookie for the Arizona Cardinals. I believe his name is David Johnson or something like that. So when we're saying we're sending guys D1, it doesn't necessarily mean Alabama. All right. It may mean North Dakota State. North Dakota State's won the last 4 national championships, and their quarterback was he the first quarterback taken or second? Wentz.
Carson Wentz.
Was he the first? Second quarterback taken? Second quarterback taken in the NFL draft. All right? Now, does living in Fargo, North Dakota kind of suck? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you think this weather is bad, but can you still get a degree and have a chance at the league? Yes. All right? So we send kids to both of those levels. They both have a lot of scholarships, 85 and 63. The FCS, they get to split those scholarships up, so they may give you partials to start, and then as you go through, maybe your sophomore year, if you move into a starting role, they can full scholarship you. There's also Division II schools, which we have a lot of. Minnesota is the king of Division II colleges. Our teams usually win the national championships in the Division II colleges. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why at the FCS level, North Dakota State and Northern Iowa are so dominant. And there's a reason why our Division IIs are so dominant. We only have one division football team in this area in all of Minnesota. There are no FBS schools in North Dakota or South Dakota. You got to go all the way down to South Iowa, Southern Iowa, or you got to go to Madison, Wisconsin for the next D1 school. So our kids are greatly under-recruited. And what ends up happening is they say, oh, Minnesota's not D1 caliber. You guys aren't good enough. So you go to the lower tier school. But you are D1 talent. So when you go to these lower level schools, what do? You win championships. I just said it. North Dakota State has won 4 of them. And can anybody tell me where like 90% of North Dakota State's roster comes from? 5 championships. And where do 90% of their players on the roster come from? Twin Cities. North Dakota State gets all their best players from the Minnesota metro area, and they win. Say it loud. All right. UNI is usually ranked in the top 5 in the country. They beat North Dakota State last year in the season, lost to them when it counted in the playoffs. Their recruiting coordinator, Brandon Lynch, who is now a good friend of mine, told me, we know that the road to a national championship is in the Twin Cities. The only way they feel that they can compete with NDSU and win national championships is to get kids from right here. They want the kids in this room. And they also know that Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, historically has been sleeping on you guys. Now that's kind of changed. Kill changed the game, and he's getting Minnesota kids. So part of my presentation used to talk bad about Minnesota Gophers. I can't do that anymore. Rooster left. He took his butt back down south because he was trying to get all them sorry kids from Texas that he was recruiting. Kill came in and said, I'm going to get all Minnesota guys. And each year he's got like 8, 10 Minnesota players. And now all of a sudden we're starting to win games again. We win 8, 9 games, going to bowl games. Because we're starting to get Dominic Londons and Kamal Martins. Last year, Minnesota Gophers signed 4 Minnesota high school quarterbacks. Unheard of. 4 Minnesota high school quarterbacks. You had the boy from Cooper, you had the boy from South St. Paul, you had Kamal from Burnsville, and Tyler from North. Not all of them play quarterback. Oh, and Seth Green, 5 Minnesota quarterbacks. All right? When we first started doing this presentation, we were like, man, Minnesota don't take any Minnesota kids. So now the game has changed. We started taking you guys on the road, all right? Opening the eyes of all these different schools. Oh, Minnesota's got ballers. The recruiting changed for the Gophers. They started taking Minnesota kids. So now the number of opportunities has increased. Can you go to the next slide? When we first started doing this presentation, there were 8 FBS scholarships given for the whole state of Minnesota. This was 3 years ago. 8. You know how many there were last year? I believe there were like 24 or something like that. And there were 41 total Division I scholarships, FBS and FCS combined.
I think we have something to do with that. Now, they're probably not going to write an article in the Pioneer Press. They're not going to call us in to be on one of them TV sports prep shows. They're not going to really give us our credit. But I'm telling you, before we started doing this, you see the numbers, and this is pulled from Rivals, data collected from participation stats distributed by National Federation of High School Sports. All right? I didn't make these numbers up. Before we started taking kids on the road, nobody from Minnesota was going anywhere. You had to go to Concordia or Mankato. Good luck. We started putting boys on the road. I'm talking about our first year, we had like 25. Back when Don, where were you, a freshman when we went to Chicago? Like 25 dudes on the bus. We went to Rivals deep. 25 of us. The whole game has changed. We were ranked 36 in the country for Division I players. It was terrible. Number of players that play football in Minnesota, we're ranked 15 in the nation. People say Minnesota's not a football state. That's absolutely not true. We're numbered right now, or then we were 15 in the country. That means not too many more states had more kids playing high school football than we did. So it was a lie that Minnesota, that football is not in Minnesota, or Minnesota's not a football state. Then what are we if we got 25,000 kids in each senior class coming out playing football? Next slide, sir. All right, so we started out carpooling. All right, these were some of the kids that we carpooled. We got a lot more pictures to add to these slides now, but when we were riding around in the expedition, these were some of the boys that we brought on the road with us. All right, next slide. So we figured out the solution. We bought a bus. You've seen this picture right here in the DFT presentation. We hit the road. Dylan right there with no clothes on. He need to put on a shirt. He wasn't lifting yet. Bird chest out. You hitting the weights, Dylan? Yeah. All right, good. So next time when we take that same picture, it's gonna be like a before and after shot, right? Grown man now. There you go. A shot of Illinois camp. That was the camp that actually CJ was referring to when Dylan was just embarrassing kids and people. Boys from Chicago was getting ready to jump them. They started throwing up gang signs at them. I got nervous. I got on the phone like, Dylan keeps cutting the line. These boys are getting mad. It was getting ugly. And the coach loved it too. He kept high-fiving Dylan, patting him on the butt. Dylan go right back to the front line and push people out the way and go again. I was scared. I'm like, man, let's get the bus revved up, have it at the door, because we might not make it out of the south side. And not only do we camp together, train together, but we eat together. So when we go down to college camps, we go to buffets, sit down and eat, talk about the day, talk about what we're going to do the next day, because nutrition is a big part of it. You know, got to stay fed because it's hot. Some of the camps, it's like 105 degrees. It's humid. We've done 2 camps in one day. Sean Brody almost didn't make it. One year, we go from Iowa State to Iowa. And it was hot. We did the morning and the afternoon, and in between we were on a bus. It was terrible. But, you know, we went from Iowa State to Iowa. Stand up. Turn around. He's been invited on like 3 unofficial visits. And he didn't think he was... Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Last one was official. All right. But he didn't think he was going to make it. You know, he was like, Coach, the boy 305 pounds, he's out there... They saw something in him, obviously, and we told them, like, the coaches knew we did 2 in one day. We told them some of our kids might not want to run 40s. They didn't hold it against us, you know, but the fact that we showed up, we showed out. James ran 4.4 right there in that picture at the Concordia camp. That was his first camp he ever attended. And then this is a little shot of us working out at St. Paul City School where we trained during the winter months. So all the guys out there, some of our college guys in the background. My little 6-year-old, he works out with us too. Hey, he just cracked 299 on the reaction drill. 289? Yeah, boy, get fast, man. They say he's faster than Joe. That's what they're saying. They're like, man, he ran faster than Joe when Joe first started running. I didn't say that. CJ said that. I don't know what you ran, Joe, so that ain't on me. Go ahead. Over the last couple years, the picture that is most important on this board, a lot of great stories here over the last 2 years, but this guy, Garrett Garza. I told you my mission
when I was 25 years old in my mom's basement playing video games, was to put St. Paul, Minneapolis Public Schools on the map. Class of 1999 was the last time that a high school guy from the Twin Cities got a full scholarship. All right, 99, Thomas Tapay. This guy right here did it. He did it. Nobody ever talks about him. Most people didn't even know he was going. All right, he went to the Northwestern camp. He didn't listen to any of our advice. James said, we'll never steer you in the wrong direction. He did not believe anything we had to say. We're like, dude, like, leave this running back stuff alone. You're a linebacker. He's stiff in the hips. I mean, he looked real awkward when he ran. I mean, he was fast, but he just didn't have that running back wiggle to him. We're like, linebacker, man, linebacker. Like, you look awful in the drills, man. Go to defense. And he's like, no, I play running back. He was a good high school running back, but he didn't look like a Division I running back. He looked like a Division I linebacker. He was like 6'1", like 210. Coach D, am I about right on that? Well, look here. He didn't have any scholarships in the end. Some things kind of went wrong. North Dakota State was going to come into the picture, but something went wrong there. Won't go into that. Kind of has something to do with what I was saying about school support. But all of a sudden, Wyoming didn't sign all the guys they thought they were going to sign, or maybe somebody didn't come up eligible. And they gave him a call. And they said, hey, you come in January, we got a scholarship for you. Garrett Gardner was the first guy from St. Paul Public Schools to get a full ride scholarship to a Division I team since Thomas Tapay in 1999. My mission was accomplished. It took a long time. It was 16 years in the making, but we did it. And Garrett was a good player, but he's definitely, I wouldn't even put him in like top 20 kids that I've seen come out of St. Paul. And that's not a knock on him. I'm saying that St. Paul and Minneapolis area has talent. I mean, I'm just being fair, but he worked hard. He got the grades. He did what he needed to do. And when that opportunity came, he took advantage of it. He's got a highlight video online right now. It was on social media and Rivals and everything. Him breaking the dude down in practice and everybody going crazy, screaming. He's getting playing time right now. Redshirt freshman this year as a redshirt freshman running back. I didn't think he could play running back at the next level. Fool me, right? He's going to graduate. So mission accomplished. But a lot of great players have ridden with us over the years. CJ's done some research on the numbers. We probably should have tracked our numbers better, but I believe you said that we've served just through training.
Oh, training 55.
About 55. So collectively, I'd probably put that number probably around 75 to 80 kids over the last 3 or 4 years that we have helped. We got guys like, I don't know if, Harry Momo's up there. These guys are from the suburbs. He went to Hopkins. He went to Cooper. Malik Bessick. He went to Armstrong. So we've had guys from all over come and join us. Some have trained with CJ. Others have not, but they've all been a part of the process some way, somehow. And people have benefited from it. There's guys that we don't have pictured that went Division II. Now, we show the Division I because that's everybody's ultimate goal. Is that going to be the ultimate reality for everybody? No. Some guys are going to be Division II football players, either because coaches maybe don't think you have what it takes to be on their team, and they'll be very particular. They'll say you got to be this height, you got to be this weight, you got to run this 40 time. So that school is just not for you. All right? But that does not devalue all of our other success stories, because I don't care whether you went Division I or Division III. We're trying to get you in school. And while you're in school, play the sport that you love. And then when you're done doing that, you come into the world, then come back and give back. That's what's most important. So I want to just let everybody know that, everybody wants to go play for Alabama. I'm going to tell you right now, none of you are going to play for Alabama. Alabama just doesn't want us. It's rare. They got that one boy out of East Ridge, that lineman. What's his name? JC. Is he even playing? The kid who went to Arkansas is All-American. Yeah. So we do have to be realistic. All right? Kind of touch on Bryson White. His story was a long, hard one. This kid from an early age, 7th grade, was going to the camps on senior day and competing with high school seniors at college camps from 7th grade. 8th grade year, he took on the #1 linebacker in the state of Minnesota, Jason Whipson or something like that. Went to the U of M, #1 linebacker in the state. Bryson was at running back, blitz pickup drill. He's waiting, linebacker blitzes, Bryson cleans him up, pancake blocks him. I had it on video, I posted it on Minnesota Preps. The editor got mad at me, told me that I was trying to embarrass a player and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this football's competition. I can't help it that the #1 player in the state got beat down by an 8th grader, you know. But Bryson never grew anymore. The same height he was in 7th grade, he is now. He was a man. I got pictures of him with all his teammates and all right here, and he was 5'9", 185 pounds. That's what he weighed at Jimmy Leah's 8th grade year. Right now, he's like 5'9", 210. He has gained very little weight. He's just who he is. And so early on, they were ranking him. Oh, he's top 5 in the country. He's this, he's that. He shut down the #1 player in the country, Dylan Moses, who's going to LSU in camp. Got video footage of that, locking him up. They thought Bryson was going to be all world, but then they fell back on him because he didn't get any bigger. If he would have hit 6'2", 6'3", he'd go to Alabama or Florida State. You're 5'10", he struggles to get a scholarship from UNI. UNI coach comes and sits down at the table. The man's from the South, so he's never had Hickory Hut. If any of you guys in here have never had Hickory Hut, you need to try it. So he comes in town, we go get some Hickory Hut for him. We roll out the red carpet with the sweet and sour sauce. And he's sucking on his fingers, and he's falling in love with Bryson White and the family. And I asked him, I said, well, what's the delay in the scholarship process? And he said, well, I'll be honest with you. I got 2 other safeties in front of you on my board. One is 6'3", one's 6'2", and they're both about 215 pounds. It was all height. So he said, that's it? Like, you can't say that they're like, you know that they're better players. And I said, well, can you tell me where they're from? And they don't like to share a lot of information about their recruits. But he said, well, one's from one's from Nebraska and one's from Georgia. And I said, oh, so they're 2 inches taller and they play down south. And he said, well, yeah. I said, well, do you think there's better competition down there? And he said, well, to be honest, we know that there is a potential NFL player playing every Friday night. And so when we're measuring guys and we see a kid competing on Friday nights against potential NFL players, that does come into play. We think this kid is competing against the next Florida State player, where you are competing against a kid who may never play college football again. And he was just being honest. So being from Minnesota, it's an uphill battle being recruited. It is a really uphill battle. And I'm going to have Dom come up and talk a little bit about his story, but definitely went through the struggle. A 4-year starter in a 5-6A program, the highest level of football that there is in Minnesota. And I don't believe there has ever been a 4-year starting running back in 6A football and rushed for 1,000, 1,800, 2,200, had a little injury, probably would have rushed for another 2,000 again. And he was waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was like, man, like, what else can I do but rush for 2,000 yards and 30 touchdowns every year? Grow. Go wrong, Dom? If you're 6 feet tall, you already know, right? That money would have been rolling in. So we just have to keep working, and stay committed to the process. I think we're like on the last slide. Take action. So before Dom comes up, 5 things I need you to do. People who have been here before have seen this already. Register with the NCAA Eligibility Center now. That applies to all my juniors and seniors. Most of you are my Facebook friends. I've been posting videos about this bothering you guys, and I guarantee some of you in here have not followed my instructions. All right? Who's seen my video? Raise your hand if you've seen. Jordan, put your hand up. You commented on it every time. Dejan, you ain't seen my video talking about, raise your hand if you've seen my Facebook. Brandon, you ain't seen my Facebook video of me telling kids what to do. Put your hand up. All right, I know you have because you liked it. All right? Go to your counselor. I'm going to repeat the video. Go to your counselor and see if you can get the fee waiver. What do you need to go do?
Go to your counselor.
Go to your counselor. I know you got the video memorized. You like it every time I post it. All right? Your counselor can tell you whether or not it's free. It costs $80 to register. But if you qualify for the fee waiver, your counselor can tell you. Terry, didn't you tell me that the counselor, you walked in and he said, oh, your name's not on the list. You don't qualify, right? It was real quick. Go see the counselor. If you qualify, it's free. All right? If you qualify for that waiver, your ACT is free.
If you're a junior, you got to sign up in like 4 weeks. January 13th or something like that is the registration date. I don't care if you think you're not going to pass. There is no pass fail in the ACT. There's no such thing as failing the ACT. You can get a low score, you get a high score. You can't fail. All right? Go in there and write your name on the paper and get some points. If you don't take the ACT, you cannot do what? Well, yeah, often go to college, but what can't you do while you're in high school? You can't get any official visits. If you don't take your ACT, you can go there yourself. You can get in the car with me and CJ. We can bring you, show you around. Coaches can't greet you. Cheerleaders can't be waiting for you when you get off the bus. All right? If you want to go on a visit, you got to take the ACT, and you have to be registered with the eligibility center. It's $100. Find out if it's free for you. If it's free for you, get it done. If it's not free for you, Mom, I need $120, or go get you behind a job. All right? We have several people in here with jobs. 3, fill out questionnaires. For all my guys that are in high school that are not underclassmen, get that done. Stop wasting time. It's all online. How many questionnaires have you done?
Total of 47.
47 questionnaires. Do you get mail from schools?
All the time.
All the time. All right? Do those things. 4, holla at CJ. Train. You need to train. You will not come with us if we don't think that you're prepared. It's not even about talent. I got a guy right now, I'm going to put him on blast. All of you in here know him. His name is Charlie Dennis. Charlie Dennis is a bad man. This is on video. Charlie Dennis is a bad man. He can beat Tigger in a 100-meter dash. Tigger think he fast. Charlie's faster than Tigger.
Don't lie to him.
We'll see this spring. Freshman, sophomore year, he's beating you in 100. But who's faster in the 40?
I'm faster.
Whatever. Charlie Dennis is faster than Tigger in the 100-meter dash, but not in the 40. Why? Because one guy prepares for the 40-yard dash. 40-yard dash takes preparation. You have to know how to stand, how to take off, the drive phase, how to get your knees up. There's more to just being fast and running a good 40 time. He's mastered that. So Charlie Dennis comes to the Minnesota Gopher camp. I talked to him before. He asked me for a ride. I said, boy, I ain't taking you out there because you're not ready. I told him that at Rondo days, Coach, let me get a ride. No, because I don't help people that don't want to help themselves. So I go out there to go see him. He gets out there, runs like a 4.7 or something. I'm clocking. I'm like, dude, this man runs 4.445s. I know Charlie can run 4.445, but he doesn't train for the 40-yard dash. So he had a pretty good camp, though. He ends up getting ranked and all that. People tweeting about him. And so we were walking out to the car because he asked me for a ride home. So I said, sure, come on, Charlie, I'll take you home. He's only stay 2 blocks away. I said, dude, you did all right, man, but I mean, to be honest, your camp sucked. He said, why? Why you say that? I said, because you didn't do what you could do. Like, you're not reaching your potential. So a lot of people, especially young people, they get emotional when I talk to them because I keep it all the way real. I told Charlie, your camp sucked. He's posting all this stuff on Facebook, all his little rankings. And I'm like, yeah, you was all right. I'm still going to keep it honest with you. Like, you ran 4.7, dude. You play safety. Like, who wants a 4.7 safety? Gotta prepare. Now, again, Charlie Dennis is a beast, and he will run 4.4 whenever he gets done playing basketball. All right? He's a Division I football player. But it's about the preparation, so when you have the opportunity to be seen, are you ready? There's a lot of talent in this room, but a lot of you guys are not ready. And just like sitting in these front seats, there's some people with suitcases full of cash for you, but you don't want it. A couple people in here want it. Most people don't want it. CJ is here for you. I'm here for you to give you an opportunity, but you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare yourself mentally and physically for the opportunity to get this money, because otherwise you're going to be like me. I got $54,000 in student debt. You don't want that if you don't have to have it. I opted out of college football to go somewhere where I felt I was going to have a good time. Now that I'm an adult, I'm like, man, how much is that student loan payment? Can I get a deferment, forbearance, something? Can I push that off till I'm like dead and then my kids pick up the bill off my life insurance policy? All right? You don't have to have that debt. But you got to prepare yourself. You got to be willing to take this criticism because we're going to give it to you. If you're not handling your business, we're going to tell you. And I'll tell you right now, I'm only gonna help those who help themselves. So if you're showing up, I'm there for you. Otherwise, I'll give you a hug, I'll give you support, high five, but that's as far as it'll go. I'm not gonna put any work for you if you won't work for yourself. These are the things that you have to do. Finally, get on the bus. Now, last year we didn't use the bus, we used vans, far more comfortable, a little bit more affordable. We may stick with vans depending upon how many kids come. When we had 25, the bus was great. Last year we had like 10, we did vans. I think the presentation is over. Next slide. Yep, so just a map. This is the area where we camp. We get the schools all over the Midwest because we want our kids to be recruited at home. If we get recruited at home, we can get recruited elsewhere. But if Minnesota doesn't want you, if Iowa doesn't want you, Notre Dame won't want you, Stanford won't want you, Florida State won't want you. So you got to get on the map at home. All right? Get to filling out questionnaires so colleges know who you are, so you can start getting invited to stuff, so coaches can build relationships with you when they visit your school. Then go to the camp so that they can meet you, see you hands-on. If you do well, they'll reach out to you. Like I said, hit up Gary right away. You know, James got coaches visiting with him. I heard Iowa just showed up to your school trying to steal you last week. Maybe, what, a little too late, ain't it? Dollar late, day short. So if you do what you need to do, man, the opportunities are there. But you only got one life, and time is something that you don't get back. And every single day that you miss, somebody else done took advantage of. You guys got what I'm saying? Take advantage. And that should be the wrap. I think after this is just the schedule. Yeah, sample schedule. I'm gonna let Dom talk about the camps, and then we'll do a Q&A and get out of here.
All right, sorry. I don't know who was. My name is Dominic London. I've been with CJ since about 7th grade. Yeah. I'll just talk about how I got into the program and how I met CJ. I was in 7th grade, and I think my older brother, he was introduced to CJ through Keelan, and Keelan one day grabbed a couple of his friends from his school, which my brother was one of those friends, and you know, my brother was like to CJ one day, he was like, my little brother, he really likes football, he's pretty good. I was like, CJ was like, oh, bring him to training. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to training, you know, be with these high school guys. I'm a 7th grader, I don't know what I'm doing. I get to the training session, we doing ladders. He said, put 2 feet in, do this. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I had no coordination, no nothing. I was just a disaster, you know. But over the years, I kept going at it. And, you know, I was what was my 40? Probably like 4.7. 4.7 as a 7th grader. I currently run a 4.4. And I was just like, man, like, this stuff works. And, you know, I would say, in my opinion, that my forward is better now. And I'm much faster and more coordinated than I would have ever been if I didn't meet this man. As a camp standpoint, I'm gonna say, when we went down to rivals, that's like the best kids out of anywhere. You like talking about Texas kids, you know, Florida kids, Georgia kids, all those kids. We think of those kids like, dang, those are the top dogs. Like, we can't compete with them. That's false. We get there, and I'm like, okay. So Leo was talking about being in the front, okay. Don't be in the back. You're not there to make friends. I'm just telling you that now. Like, you can talk to people all you want, but you're not there to make friends. You're there to not compete. You're there to dominate. All right, and my story is about the height I am. You know, I talk to college coaches all the time saying, you know, what do I need to do to be on your team for you to give me money? And they're like, it's not about what you can do. It's about, you know, you're only 5'8". I'm like, what does height got to do with anything? If a guy can play football, he can play football, right? And, you know, I'm seeing these kids. I'm looking up on Google top running backs in class of 2017. You know, you got those kids 6 foot, 5'10", 5'1", 6'1", 6'2". I'm like, dang. Okay, they taking these kids that are taller. Like, for what? I look at their 40s. I have the same 40. I look at all their tests, you know, what they do in camps, like shuttle and all that. I have faster times and as good as times as those kids. And like he said, I'm rushing for 2,000 yards with 30 touchdowns every year. I mean, like, what can I do more for you to come get me? So I'm like, when Coach Kill, he retired, you know, he had health problems. I was actually about to go down to the Iowa camp. The person that was recruiting me from the Gophers was Dan O'Brien. He's their assistant head coach. I was about to go down to Iowa for a camp. And Dan, he calls me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What you mean?" He's like, "You're going down to the Iowa camp. We need you at our camp this whatever set date it was." I was like, "Okay." So I get down there, and you know, I run my 40, clocked a 4.54. You know, everything else was pretty good. You know, and then after the camp, they come up to me. They're like, the running back coach comes up to me and is like, "Coach Clays wants to tell you," because that's their head coach now. And I was like, my heart started beating. I was like, "Oh snap, this might be the moment." Coach Clays comes up to me and he's like, "Dom, the last piece we needed to see with you is you're 40, and we know you have the speed, and we just want to tell you that we don't care about your height. You can play." And I was like, "Thank you, like someone gets it." And you know, they didn't offer me that day on the camp. They offered me like 3 days after, and he calls me. He's like, "We're gonna give you a $250,000 scholarship, which is a full scholarship at the University of Minnesota." I was like, "Dang!" And then prior to that, I actually, on my birthday, I got an offer from South Dakota State, and they were at the Minnesota camp, and they was watching me. They was talking to me before that too, and yeah, they offered me, and then a few days later, Minnesota offered me. I already had my mindset because just hearing Coach Clay say that to me, like, that means he's looking at me as a player that has talent, not as a player that's 5'8" and can't compete with guys that are 6'6" coming off the line. I'm like, dang, that's a true coach. Like, he's just looking at the guy that can bring success to his team. Now, when you go into these camps, like I said, you're not making friends. Like, you can talk to the guys all you want, but at the end of the day, you're competing in front of multiple college coaches, and they're there to get the next best thing. And if you're sitting in the back not doing anything, just chilling, how they gonna know your name? How they gonna know what you can do? So when you're going there, you gotta go hungry. Like, for real. Like, you gotta have that swagger. Like, if you catch a ball or you block someone, you gotta get excited about it. You gotta sell yourself as a player to get someone's attention. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta sell yourself, be in the front. You know, talk to those coaches, have a relationship with them. You be like, "Hey, what you want me to do this time? Against him? All right, bet. Go in the front. Bah, got him." That's all they gotta see. What are you gonna be? You gonna be that guy in the back like this? Like, I was forced to come here, but or are you gonna be in that front, trying to get your money, trying to get your name in those top rankings on Google? You know, no matter what you are. Like he says, Minnesota boys, oh, they ain't nothing. False. There's talent everywhere. It's a matter of selling yourself. It's a matter of having programs like this to get your name out there. And I'm really grateful for having CJ on my side and Leo to give me those opportunities to get myself on the bus with Kamal and all. Kamal was my guy, and go out there and dominate. So I'm gonna just leave it at that, and I just want to say that I'm very grateful for both of you, and I don't even know what my football career would be out without y'all. So thank you.